determined to drag Alan Scotthorne out of his comfort zone. So I brought a matchman down onto our specimen hunting waters on the River Wye. We do ground bait down here for the barbel, but Alan's been much more accurate than I ever am. And he's had his first put in and he's hooked something small. This is why you want great big baits, you see.
Yeah,
eliminate all this small stuff.
Actually hooked it top at nose, that, just a little chub.
First put in, little chub.
I think you're right, Peter. I think probably bigger baits will be the way forward. Maybe lobworms for me rather than pellets, but right. I think I'll have an odd chuck on maggot just to start with, just to see what's available. I dare say on this river you've not fished with maggots very often.
No, it absolutely teems with all sorts of fry, all sorts of year classes, small day, small chub, minnows, everything. So I don't think I've ever fished maggot down here.
No. I mean, I'm putting on dead maggots, which are a little bit, more big fish friendly type thing. Putting like 10 maggots on a big bunch of maggots. I'm not messing around. I've got a size 10 animal, Camasan animal hook on. So if I do hook a barbel, hopefully I've got half a chance to land one. We'll just see what happens to start with.
I wasn't even able to tell Alan what depth this swim was because I've only ever fished it on the lead, but it's turned out to be about 5.5 foot deep. It's pretty much full of barbel, so we're hoping he's going to get one, but it's a very interesting technique. The flat floats that I made late 1950s, early 1960s were all bolster jobs, and we used them very, very close to the bank. We weren't on poles in those days, we were just on 13-foot rods. And when the Thames was in flood, some of the bream would tuck themselves in very, very tight to the bank, and we would fish these flat floats quite effectively, but not nearly as sophisticated as these that have emanated out of Central Europe, haven't they, Alan? And they've got very clever now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when first time I sort of came across flat floats. I know probably one of the early matches was when we fished on River Wye in Hungary. I would say that was probably 2005, and I was lucky enough to actually win World Championships using a flat float. We were using like 40 grams size floats on that river on Wye.
You don't get a chance to fish them over here much, do you?
No. I mean, it really is out of our comfort zone because we haven't got many matches where we fish on this type of water, really. I have a feeling there's next to no up now. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of small fish, so I'm going to have to fish a big bait, something like a lobworm or something much bigger than what I've got on, I would say, if I'm going to be patient and try and fish with a bait that I can hook a barbel on. You can see it's just been obliterated.
Yeah.
Try a lobworm.
A whole lob.
A whole lobworm.
Yeah.
I mean, even a chub will pick a full lobworm up, so even that's not bomb-proof to probably what's down there. I mean, there's quite a lot of flow there. That float, it's 50 gram, and it's just about managing to sit in flow. It's still riding a little bit.
Very fine tips on them, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even that, there's smaller fish pecking at it. I need really to put something on that I can sit probably more and wait for a proper bite. We'll see how we go on. I mean, I could have probably fished a little bit closer in, but everything's having a go at that. I can't believe that, you know, a full lobworm like that. I mean, there'll be small chub or something that's attacking it.
So you reckon your ground bait is down on that mark, do you?
It will not be far off. It'll
Right.
be around that area. I mean, this is another thing. If you do run through and can get bites, it tells you where your ground bait's settled.
Yeah.
I mean, what I can do once we get some idea of what I can sit with and fish with and try and catch a barbel, I can then try and find out where my ground bait's dropped on the floor, at, you know, bed at river as such.
These were my old ones from back in the 1950s, early 1960s. They were slightly, or just plain balsa, and they got this sort of harp shape to them, but they were very slim that ways on and took plenty of shot, but they were primitive compared to what Alan's fishing today. They've really become very sophisticated, but of course we had great big thick tops on them, Alan, you know, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Fished them double rubber, made sure the line went down the back of them, but very close to the bank. Couldn't have fished like that at all. Didn't even have poles, like I said. I think we were still on cane rods and the like. That was mainly for bream fishing on the Thames. The bream in the floodwaters would tuck themselves right in close to the bank in little semi-slacks, and that worked particularly well.
We've not been fishing very long, about probably 20 minutes, Peter, and it's become apparent that there's that many small fish there that to actually sit and fish for a big fish, we'd even double lobworm on, the smaller fish were ripping it to bits. So I've changed to an 8mm banded pellet. Now, of course, when you fish like this, you're fishing with a feeder and probably not putting as much bait in as what I've put in. You'll be packing a feeder quite tight.
Well, that might be a barbel then, Al, but it's on that, on that soft elastic. It don't know what it's doing, does it?
No, they've probably never been hooked on elastic before.
No, they don't know what's going
So
on.
they probably don't exactly know what's happening, that fish. But it's a fair fish. I mean, you know that. All right, I've not got our strongest bungee on. It's the next size down, the pink bungee. But I like it for these type of fish, because if they run off downstream, you've got plenty of stretch. I mean, I've managed to get that to go upstream a little bit.
That's amazing that it's fighting so soft.
But of course, when you pick up with a rod, you know, that fish might be still wondering what's happening till they've never been hooked on elastic before. What I've done, I've mixed some extra pellets in some ground bait. I mean, you fish with pellets here all the time, Peter, and I didn't want to panic and start doing things what I didn't know what were happening. So what I've done, I've mixed some extra 4mm and a few 8mm in my ground bait, and it's there, it's a barbel anyway.
It's a little barbel.
And straight away, I've literally caught one off them 2 balls that I've potted in. So all that what I threw in was probably almost a waste of time, you think. Maybe, you know, if I'd gone with a more specimen approach and not balled it in and just cupped with a load of pellets in, maybe it would have been a better ploy than fishing like I started. You know, it's not a match river, is it? It's a river.
These are wild fish, Alan.
These are wild fish. But it's amazing that, you know, this fish will certainly never have been hooked on elastic before. I mean, it's exciting when you hook one. I mean, this is not probably pulled as hard as what, you know, you'll get some that literally pull your arm off. This has been quite a kind barbel, really. But it's amazing, like that flat float. All right, it's took me a bit of time to catch one, but I've managed to get one on. It'll be interesting now, cupping pellets, a lot more pellets in the actual mix, whether I'll start hooking more. That's not a bad fish, is it, for a starter? That's a starter for one. But that's a nice fish to start with. I mean, I don't know, you know, how big they actually get, but that's probably what, 4.5 pound, is it?
Yeah. Hopefully you'll get one twice that size.
Yeah. So I'll put them in nice and gently into net, give them a little bit of time to recover. I mean, I didn't play that for long. I mean, sometimes you can play a barbel. You know, if I hook a big one, it might take me, you know, 10 or 15 minutes to get one in. But we'll go down routine now of sort of, if you look at this mix now, you can see how many pellets I've got in that. I've also got gravel, and the pellets add weight as well to it, so I can cup some more in and then nail a bait over it and see if we can catch another one.
We would put in even more pellet than that.
Yeah,
we would really, up to, I don't know how many pellet you can get in, but it looks like as much pellet as ground bait. It isn't probably, but... I
mean, to us as matchmen, they're just, that don't look too inviting, but obviously barbel, you know, they love halibut pellets, and cramming as many in I can into a ball that I can make solid. It's still got to go down to the bottom, of course. It might be the way to catch a few. So we'll cup a couple more balls in and see what happens. Just hooked another one now. That were a proper bite, that. I mean, when you're fishing these fast rivers, normally when you get a bite off a barbel, it's literally a wallop. And that, I'm sure if I'd have left it, it'd have pulled pole down, but I managed to strike before it actually got to that point, which has amazed me. I mean, barbel are a very, very aggressive fish. But amazing that, you know, I've fished for a good length of time and not hooked one. And as soon as I've started cupping halibuts in, I've already hooked two. So, you know, it just tells you that these pellets, they really want to eat them. This one could be a little bit bigger, Peter. It went downstream, but it's just come back up again, so... I suppose this river, when it's been in flood, I mean, there's a post at side of us here, and you said it were almost at top at post at times.
Yeah.
I mean, these fish, they're used to swimming about in this current, aren't they? This is just nothing for them.
No, it's a frightening river when it gets in full flood. And certainly this post here beside us, it's been over the top of that.
It's amazing how that elastic is actually dealing with them. It's when we catch some big carp at times. I mean, up to 20 pound on ridiculously light gear, really. I mean, I'm fishing, you know, 0.20 2 Drennan suplex fluorocarbon, so I've got, you know, it says 6 pound on it, 6 pound 4, but of course it's probably a lot stronger than that. I mean, we tend not to have the gun lines. An 0.22 fluorocarbon is quite heavy, so it probably helps also to keep bait a little bit static. It's a little bit heavier than what normal line is. Yeah. And of course, when you're fishing on the river, you're wanting to try and keep your bait static, like, you know, other baits that's there.
I think if you show it that net,
yeah,
it'll have other ideas about it.
And it's amazing that I've sat there all that time after balling it in, and the two fish I've caught have come like immediately after cupping in, and you know, an amount of pellets. Again, it's same ground bait. I mean, the ground bait I fed's actually halibut ground bait. It's a census halibut mix. So, you know, you'd think that that'd have had a lot of pulling power, but obviously pellets in the form of what they are more inviting to them than what the ground bait is. That's a little bit bigger. I thought it was a fraction bigger because this one did go downstream. But it's amazing how that elastic's dealt with that fish.
Yeah.
I mean, how big's that one, Peter? You've caught these fish many times, and you can probably, you know, estimate what that weighs better than what I can.
So five and a bit. I'll give you that one.
So we're getting bigger.
I want you to hook a really big one.
Yeah. That's a big fish, that, Peter, I can tell you.
Don't they fight well?
These fish are very, very strong. I mean, in this flow, right, I've had two quite small fish, probably by your standard. I mean, a 5 pound plus fish.
This might be a bit better. It's hanging out there, isn't it?
I think this one's a bit bigger. I played this one slightly different. I've managed to get it to go downstream and kept it really on this bank. And as long as it don't get a new wind and go for other side, we've half a chance of landing it.
When you show it a net, it will take back off again.
Maybe. It's just that far bank that's the problem, really. It's hooked properly. It's not a massive.
It's not that big either, is it?
Well, it's difficult to say. It felt big when I hooked it. I mean, you know, that again, there's only so much pressure you can put on a fish, and you know, the two fish that did me going across were probably not massive fish, you know, but as soon as they get to them rocks, they're in danger of breaking you.
Yep, just an average size fish.
Yeah, average for you, nice for me. It is completely different playing them on a pole. I mean, this one I managed to keep it this side at floor, and it's a lovely fish. I could take my time now. It's sort of, I don't think he's going to go back across to the other side. I've got a chance to land him.
You're okay now. It's just that.
Only thing that could happen now is probably up pull out of it, but
We got 5 on there or 6?
5 joints.
5.
I mean, it's quite shallow, so you know, we've not got a lot of water, have we? So you know, you're not on a really long kit. I mean, a top 4 or a top 3 of our pole. I keep saying a top 4, but it's a top 3 of our pole, of course. Takes care at length of your rig. If you were in a match now, certainly in a World Championships, I'd be twitching a little bit, wouldn't I? But probably not as much as when I got that carp in Slovenia last year. Trying to net a carp on 13 metres of pole with 11 metres of depth were a lot harder than this. I finished up stood on my box, which I'm getting a little bit old for that game, standing on top of a box, but it had to be done. Barbel are, you know, they are a fantastic fish. There's no doubt. They fight hard, and
this lot down here, they're very feisty on this river. It's not just the current; they're very powerful fish down here.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, you know, 26 main line on, but of course, you know, you're fishing over rocks and things, and you know, often you don't know what's happened, whether your main line's been caught across rocks and things, and you know, it's always a bit of a nervy carry on, really. It's just not. You always want fish to turn to you when you're trying to net them, and this one's just turning away all the time. I could have probably done with another section on. If I got a good gilly, you'd have probably netted this for me, Peter.
No, I'm leaving you to your own devices. Hey.
It's a bonny fish. You'll think that's a little one.
No, just the average size out here. Oh, it's slightly bigger. Yeah, okay.
I mean, you could tell he was slightly bigger than other two that I've had because of the way he pulled. He did pull quite hard, didn't he? What will that one be?
Let me see.
That's a decent fish.
Oh, that's not a bad fish.
That's a little one.
That's 7.
They have got massive lips, these fish, haven't they? They're not...
No, look at them, yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, great big barbels. You can see how they can find a pellet really easy. With them great big barbels, you can imagine them working across bottom, sifting them out.
That's been fantastically educational. The accuracy with which Alan fishes, I've got a much better picture of the contours of this. I've only ever fished this swim on the lead, which is very crude. So watching Alan put his flat float through there and working it, that's been really interesting. I know a lot more about this swim than I did before. I don't think it's the method. I think the method that we've got down here with flat feeders, big mega method feeders and things like that, packed with ground bait and the bait adjacent to it, that's a better system. And we like really smelly baits in this sort of water. But that's been fantastic to see this, and I'm glad I dragged him down here out of his comfort zone and got him to find out all about my swim.
Yeah, fantastic.